What's up, everyone? It's Danny Gould with the Gould team selling Silicon Valley. Today, I'm joined by my good friend and investing ninja slash guru slash magician, Carl Worden. Carl, you want to introduce yourself to the folks real quick and give them a little introduction about yourself and the company that you work for, etc.?
Sure. Yeah, my name's Carl Worden. I actually am a few things. I'm a real estate agent, believe it or not, although I'm not in competition with you. Yeah, I don't know if you knew that or not.
I did not know that.
I do have my real estate license. Real estate's a passion of mine. I've actually, at 11 years old, I used to open up the newspaper and look at houses for sale. So I've always been really involved heavily in real estate.
Right.
I don't actually pursue that. I have my real estate license because I'm also a real estate investor. Have been for over 20 years. I've owned just about every kind of property you can imagine, from single family to I had rental property in Vegas, actually, vacation rental property.
Really?
So yeah, so even did that, commercial properties, etc. I'm also a financial advisor and have been for over 20 years.
Right.
And I happen to represent a 1031 exchange accommodator as well. So that's a little bit about me.
Got it. So he's all sorts of things. Really, the main value that Carl brings to myself and my team is in the tax deferral strategies, and personally brings a wealth of information in terms of the financial advice and what to do and how to do it and when to do it. Timing's everything, right?
Yes, big time.
And you know all about timing. I know you do. So yeah, I mean, we already talked a little bit about yourself. I mean, let's just get right to it, right?
Okay.
Why not? Obviously, you look at me. I'm a little younger, right? And so a lot of the clientele, not all the clientele, but a good portion of them are younger adults. They're just getting started,
right.
They're young tech employees, maybe Google, Facebook, Apple Box, to name a few. So, employees that work there, young adults that are just getting into it, what investment strategies or what kind of advice would you give a young adult that's just getting started?
Well, it's interesting. I would suggest that for the large portion of that generation that you're talking about, investing in real estate can be scary. And here's why. Many of them witnessed mom and dad, grandma and grandpa, friends, parents, right, lose their homes in the last real estate crash. So that put a big black eye on that generation. So a lot of them are actually a lot more wary of real estate than they should be, frankly, because that was kind of an anomaly, frankly, that type of an issue. But speaking as a real estate investor myself, and fortunately, by the way, I was lucky. I had 6 properties. I sold every single one of them in 2005 and 2006. So I avoided the crash. So that was kind of nice. But the one thing I will tell you about real estate investing, now I'm a financial advisor, okay? So if you had $100,000 and you wanted to invest that, obviously I would love to invest that for you, okay? However, would that be the best place for you to invest it? So let me tell you what my experience has been. Most of the people that I deal with that are truly wealthy have gotten there in one of 2 ways. Either their own business or real estate, period. Okay? Very rarely do I ever run across the client, and I've got one I'm working with now, $3.5 million, all 401k. I mean, are you kidding me? That is just a rare exception.
Right.
People tip, and he's an employee. That typically rarely ever happens. I'm sorry, that's just kind of the way it is. Most people that got wealthy did it investing in real estate or their own business, okay? So, and here's a big reason why real estate is such a fantastic vehicle. It's because of something called leverage. It's the most important thing I ever learned when I started my real estate investing career. If you gave me as a financial advisor $100,000 to invest, okay, and let's say I got you a 10% rate of return. I did great, frankly. 10%, $10,000, right? That's what you have at the end of the year. However, if they take that same $100,000 and they go talk to a Danny Gould, right?
Right.
And they invest in a $500,000 piece of property.
Right.
Okay? 20% down, right? And 1 year later, just based upon appreciation, I'm not even talking about cash flow, just appreciation, the property value increases by 4%. Okay? Not 10, 4. Okay? That's 4% on 500,000, not 4% on 100,000.
Right.
Right? That's a $20,000 gain. That's a 20% rate of return on equity. That's how you get rich. It's called leverage. You use other people's money. Okay? Unfortunately, that lesson was largely lost on that generation, and I would encourage them to knock it off and not be so afraid of real estate. Just buy smart. I think part of your question was, how should you do it? Buy smart. Don't go 90% leverage. Try to get as much down as possible to give yourself a respectable rate of return, and not try to create a situation where the thing's going to run a negative cash flow on you on a monthly basis.
Right.
Because that could create a problem if you have a job change or something like that.
Sure. And leverage is key, right?
Big time.
Definitely leverage is key. I think what a lot of folks in my generation are experiencing, I say folks, but a lot of bros are experiencing in my generation, is the fact that the activation energy in Silicon Valley is just so high that some people find the task of even purchasing their first property as too daunting of a task to overcome, to the point where I have friends tell me all the time, $1 million, how am I ever going to afford that?
Right.
So what can you say to those people, and what words of wisdom can you give to those individuals?
Well, it's funny. I as a financial advisor in my years, I actually ran an office where I had 40 to 50 advisors that worked underneath me. Okay, so I've done a lot of training, and I've sat in a lot of homes, and I will tell you, for the most part, one of the reasons why people don't get wealthy doesn't have anything to do with government, doesn't have anything to do with their job not paying them enough. It's that they're not saving enough. Sorry, that's just the reality of it.
Right.
Okay, they're buying Starbucks every single day at $3 and $4. That's $150 a month.
Right.
Right? They're watching movies. They're going out to dinner 2 or 3 times a week. There is a ton of money, and I've seen it. I've had people actually tell me, I don't have any money. I can't make it. This is just so I'm living week to week, paycheck to paycheck. No, you're not. You're just not doing this right. I mean, you're talking to a guy, okay, who did not go to college. Okay? I don't have a college degree. Okay? But I am doing better off than most people that I know.
Right.
Okay? And it's not because I'm any smarter than anybody else. It's because I saved my money. I started off saving $25 a week just to get started. Okay? All I did was I took $25 out of my weekly deal. Right? This is back in the early 90s. And I didn't touch it. I put it somewhere where I couldn't touch it. Okay? And I learned how to manage without it. And after a while, it was like, I don't miss it. Right?
Right.
So the next thing you know, it became $37.50. I'm giving you real numbers here. Okay? Next thing you know, it becomes $50 a week. And then it was $100 a week. Okay? And then it was $200 a week. It'll blow your mind if you just simply start, okay, and figure out a way to manage without it. You're going to do without. I did without. I didn't have beer in my refrigerator. I didn't have cookies in my cupboard. I didn't have ice cream in my freezer.
Right.
Okay? And you might not be willing to make that sacrifice. And if you aren't, don't expect to have what I have. Sorry. That's just the reality of it. Okay? So there's a lot of money floating around out there. There's people in Silicon Valley making a ton of money, families making a ton of money. And the bottom line is the only reason they can't afford a house is simply because they're not actually paying themselves first. So it's kind of brutal.
Yeah, no,
but I actually I have a hard time, frankly, hearing somebody say they can't afford it.
Right.
I do.
Right.
Give me a break. You're just not. You're just living too comfortable.
I hear you, Carl.
Yeah. Yeah,
I hear you, because I mean, not pointing any fingers here, but I definitely, I see my peers, and I see what happens, and 6-figure salary. There's no excuse why you can't save at least 10, 15%, 20% of that a year.
Yep.
And then in what in 3-4 years you have
Right.
you have enough to at least start a conversation about And that's not to mention all the stock options that they're getting too.
That's right.
Right. So and on the other side of that coin though, somebody that has been investing for a long time. Carl, someone that's really, that's been doing a lot of transactions, that has quite a bit of real estate, someone that's a little savvier. What are 3 main tips, 3 pieces of advice that you can give somebody that's had skin in the game for a long time?
Boy, that's a tough question, actually. As far as you mean, as far as investors, like what do they do?
Investors, yeah. Someone that's bought and sold or bought and hold, several investment properties, or at least one, right? Someone that's an investor currently right now.
Boy, that's some of it's timing. Some of it is just simply, managing the purchase correctly. Okay. Unfortunately, and I know you're not one of these guys, but there's a lot of people out there, a lot of, salespeople, right? Not people that are actually willing to help. There's a lot of salespeople out there that want to make a commission.
Right.
Okay. There's actually people like yourself and myself. We actually care. Okay. We want to share with them. We want the person to be informed before they actually make a decision. We want the person to feel comfortable before they make the decision. So we will actually work the numbers with them. You know what I mean?
Right.
And make sure that when they do buy, there's no regrets on the other side. Everything's to be expected.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Totally.
But some people, I would say, they don't do it that way. They kind of go in blind. And you know what? Hey, fortunately for the last 7-8 years in this market, that's paid them in spades.
Yeah.
But that's not always going to be the case. In fact, we're right now, and as far as the stock market is concerned, we're on an 8-year run. That's never happened in the history of the stock market. We've never had 8 years of up. Okay? So there's definitely a correction coming, right? So how are you going to position yourself? I would say that's probably, if you're talking about tips, I think it's just buying at the right time. I think that's a big tip, right? I would have bought in a heartbeat 2010, 11, right?
Right.
In a heartbeat.
Right.
Right? That's when I did buy. In fact, a lot of the very
Who's
wealthy,
laughing now?
a lot of the wealthy people I know, that's when they bought. You don't buy high, you buy low.
Right.
Warren Buffett, right? You buy, you sell high and buy low. In other words, you sell when other people are fearful, or so you buy when people are fearful.
Right.
Right? And you sell when people are greedy.
Right.
People are greedy right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to kind of interject there. It's not taking advantage, but really seizing an opportunity.
True.
Right. You're seizing the opportunity. If you're lucky enough, and not lucky enough, but if you've positioned yourself to take advantage or seize that kind of opportunity, don't try and jump the gun. Right, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's also too learning the numbers yourself. You're going to have to in this market. You're going to have to do a lot of due diligence. You're going to have to break the numbers down. If you're talking about buying investment property, I'm assuming that's the primary conversation.
Absolutely.
Right? Investment
right.
property. You're going to have to do a lot of breaking the numbers down, meaning this is my mortgage payment, right? This is my rent. Sorry, this is my rent. This is my mortgage payment. This is my taxes, insurance, maintenance, HOA, right?
Right.
Vacancy factor. And you're just going to have to do that on a lot of different properties until you get a feel for what you're doing.
Right.
That's a lot of times people won't do that. They
Right.
they go, I want to invest in real estate, but they don't put the time in it. That's what I used to do all the time.
Right.
In my early days, that's exactly what I did until I got good about it. Now I can look at a property now and just go, beep, 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 just kind of in my head.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And go, good deal, bad deal. But in the
Right.
beginning, you kind of have to break it down.
Right.
And
you know what, Carl? What I see, and God, it pains me when I see this right now, in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
The amount of investors out there that would prefer to be sexy instead of rich. Right? They're buying in an inflated market
Right.
where it just makes absolutely no sense for them to
Right.
put their money in there.
Right.
For example, I met a gentleman at a condo in Mountain View.
Yeah.
Right, a 2-bedroom condo, terrible. Not terrible condition. It was definitely livable.
Yeah.
It was upgraded, but it wasn't fancy or anything. Right, it went well over $800,000 for a 2-bedroom condo. One parking spot.
Right.
not a good investment decision, right? Not only that, you have an HOA, right?
Right.
And the numbers just don't make sense.
Yeah.
And I was telling him, well, why are you buying here? Well, it's Mountain View. It's next to Google.
Right.
I said, well, do you want to be sexy or do you want to be rich?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Because it's the classic debate, right? Like,
Right.
well, of course, it would be nice to have an investment property so you could tell all your friends.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah.
But it just, where are areas right now? Because I have my own opinions, but I would love to hear, where you feel, your money is best spent at this point in time. Given the market conditions right now, et cetera.
It's going to sound like such a canned answer, but any area that has a good price, and I that's a cheap, easy way out of the question. But where do you make your money in real estate?
Appreciation
on the way in.
Right.
Right. You buy smart.
Right.
So how do you buy smart? Well, you perhaps anticipate moves, right? Moves meaning what? Well, maybe there's a new bus center going in locally, right?
Right.
Maybe there's a school being built nearby,
right?
Not yet up,
right?
Maybe the person that is selling the property doesn't realize that if they fixed this, that, or the other, the property would be worth $100,000 more. It only costs $20,000 to do it.
Right.
That's where you make your money.
Totally.
Right.
Totally.
So maybe if you did these small little improvements, you get $1,000 a month more in rent.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't necessarily agree that there's a specific area.
No,
I think
not.
that there's just opportunities, frankly, everywhere. Mm-hmm. Now, this day and age, they might be more scattered. In 2009 and 10 and 11, they were a lot more plentiful.
Right.
Right. But that doesn't mean that they're not out there.
Sure.
And if you have cash and you have time and you have an agent that can help you kind of weed through this stuff, then there's no reason that you couldn't invest today.
Right, exactly, and that's what at least what I try to do with my clients is actually look where the money's going to be, not where the money already is, right? Because there's a big difference there, right? And so obviously where the money already is, great primary residence, kids want to go to school there, etc. But why don't we find an area where there's C schools right now, but where maybe the schools are going to be better, or maybe BART's going in, or maybe like you alluded to, right, with the bus center or something, something that's going to improve the area, because obviously when area improves, people buy area over anything else.
Absolutely.
Right, and so when an area improves, the prices are going to go up, and even in this up market, this upcycle, I still know that there are opportunities out there.
Absolutely.
So the three takeaways that I really took from there is find opportunities, really seize it, and what you alluded to earlier a little bit was buying and holding, right? Just trying to be as smart as you can with the purchases that you make, so that you don't have to sell them, right?
Yeah, and I think another piece to add to that would be, again, buying smart, anticipating and planning for a market that's going to turn. Because frankly, I think that we are due for a correction of some sort.
Absolutely.
I don't necessarily think that we're in a bubble. By the way, a lot of people say, "Oh my God, we're in a bubble. Real estate prices are so high." Actually, not necessarily. I mean, if you look at the trend line, right? Prices of real estate in 1920, prices of real estate in 2017. There's a trend line. Okay, it average rate of appreciation. It goes along a straight line. Does it really? No, it's actually more of this. Right? Now in 2007, off that trend line, we watched it go like this, right? But today, it's come back. But how far is it above the trend line? Before 2007, it was way above the trend line. That's a bubble. Right? But the trend line still kept moving, because that's the average rate of appreciation of real estate.
Sure.
Make sense? So I believe we're above the trend line. I just don't think it's bubble status.
Totally not.
Okay? So I think we're due for a correction. Now, I think that the economy in real estate prices is kind of hovering on a four-legged stool. Prices. It's based on jobs, bank lending, stock market prices, and foreign money. Okay? In 2007, we saw all of that crash, didn't we? Right? Stock market crashed. Jobs were non-existent.
Right.
Right? Foreign money was non-existent. Banks were not lending. right?
Thanks for asking the United States to bail
It was a joke, right? So, but fast forward to today. Banks lending actually is improving, so that's good. Stock market is at an all-time high. That's scary.
Right.
Jobs are doing well. No foreign money.
No
So
foreign
two
money.
of the legs, or not as much foreign money as it
Right.
was, before
Right.
February of last year, right?
Right.
So two of the four legs are teetering, right? Stock market, if that one goes, that may have a very negative effect.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
because a lot of money comes to real estate from the stock market. So that's why I say I would, if I was a buyer today, which I'm not, I'm waiting.
Right.
I'm waiting for the next correction, frankly, and I want to buy in on the low.
Right.
So unless I find a good deal.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you, Carl. Well, listen, you're always just a wealth of information. If anybody that's watching this video wants to get in touch with you to talk about their finances, to talk about investment strategies, to talk about tax deferral strategies,
Right.
which we didn't even get into,
Yeah.
but if they want to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to do so?
They can call my assistant at 408-261-2275. You can also call our 800 numbers 877 tax strategy, STRA 877 tax strategy.
All right, Carl. Well, thank you so much. You're just
Welcome.
always a pleasure to pick your
Yeah,
brain.
You as well.
Carl Worden, everybody, Exchange Solutions, and this is Danny Gould with the Gould team, selling Silicon Valley, and we're out.